But that flotilla has made a difference. It's made an enormous difference. It woke the world up in a way that they've not been woken up for a very long time, in exactly the same way, and I agree with George Galloway on this. Those of us old enough to remember the anti-apartheid campaigns, remember Sharpeville, remember the Rivonia treason trials, remember Steve Biko, remember the riots in Soweto. All of those were significant turning points that changed world opinion. And I think that flotilla has changed world opinion. Now, I feel, like everybody in this room, very passionate about what's happened to the Palestinian people, and very angry at the way in which Israel has behaved, flouting international law, flouting UN regulations, flouting UN resolutions, and all that, and travelling around the West Bank, endlessly stopped by checkpoints, the war going on, and the economic blockade of the West Bank and Gaza is very, very strong indeed. Gaza, for example, used to produce, or still does, produce large quantities, huge quantities of early strawberries because of the weather and the climate and so on. You can get strawberries February, March time. Very easy to destroy a strawberry crop. You don't even have to bomb it. You just have to wait for it to be harvested, load it on a truck, take it to the checkpoint and wait there. Today, tomorrow, the day after, the day after, the day after. After 5 days, the whole thing is ruined. I witnessed another farmer in Gaza on another occasion, loaded up virtually a year's work of vegetables on a lorry. And they kept him there for a week at the checkpoint in the sun, so all his work was destroyed. He was made bankrupt as a result of it. It's that kind of systematic, cynical, nasty punishment of people's lives that goes on. What do we do about it? The next flotilla is going. I've spoken with people in Palestine Return Centre. I don't know the date, so I can't give you the date of it, but there are more flotillas going, there are more delegations going, there's more solidarity work taking place. It's very important to keep up that pressure. The brave work you and others have done and do has made an enormous difference. But Israel relies on two things: US uncritical support at an international level and European trade and aid. In the case of the United States, for all Barack Obama's postulating about settlements and a ban on new settlements, or a freeze on new settlements, or a pause on new settlements, or a slight slowing down in new settlements, or whatever particular frame of words you wish to use, they've never made it clear that every settlement in the West Bank must go. More went there after the withdrawal from Gaza anyway. And secondly, that for all that, he then signed a presidential order for £150 million extra military aid to go to Israel to develop a new missile defence system. Well, they always call them defence systems, don't they? Nobody ever goes to war. They don't call them war systems. They always call them defence systems. But I think it's pretty clear that Israel is resuming its role, well, maybe it never stopped it, of being the extension of US foreign and military policy within the region, and it can be used to start another war with Iran, or not, as the case may be. And the second is, of course, Europe. Now, Europe has these association agreements and trade agreements, all of which include very tough human rights clauses. It seems that once these agreements have been made, it requires, apparently, a unanimous vote of the Council of Ministers to get rid of them, I'm advised. Now, I hope that's not the case, but it's something we've got to campaign on and look into. Because why on earth should Europe, on the one hand, condemn, quite rightly, condemn abuses of human rights, condemn the separation wall, barriers, whatever you want to call it, and then at the same time, basically provide the sustenance for the Israeli economy from which they thrive so well? And so, it's a question of actions, it's a question of sanctions, it's a question of joining up with people in the USA, in Israel, or anywhere else who are saying, quite simply, that it's an historical wrong, it's a tragedy, that Israel should be allowed to get away with this treatment of the Palestinian people, and that those that caused it should be hauled through the international courts. And I'll just conclude with this thought. In the past 18 months alone, there's been 3 major breaches of international law by Israel. Operation Cast Lead, which killed 1,400 people, used phosphorus bombs, and it was an attack on a civilian population. The copying of British and other passports in order to undertake the assassination in Dubai. It's a pretty serious thing that happened there. And the third was an attack in international waters on the high seas of the flotilla that was taking aid to Gaza. Those are all pretty serious breaches of international law. And when Daniel McAvoy and others managed to obtain arrest warrants against Zippy Livni when she was, and Barak, when they were coming to Britain to speak at various events, the government, David Miliband, who was then Foreign Secretary, said this was an outrage. It was against the British sense of justice and fair play. Because you'd have an international arrest warrant that could be, or an arrest warrant against somebody where there's prima facie evidence of a war crime, taken out by a private citizen in a court, and this must be changed. I immediately slapped down a parliamentary motion stating the opposite, that we should be proud of the fact that a private citizen in this country can take out an arrest warrant against somebody that's committed human rights abuses, or there's evidence against them of human rights abuses, and that we would defend that. And I've got well over 100 MPs signing it, not because I went around asking them, I didn't, because I wanted to see what would happen, because PSC and other campaigns got onto their own MPs and said, stop this nonsense and don't allow this law to go through. I've put down the same motion again in the new Parliament. It was the first thing I did after the election, so it's there again. We have to defend that right of British citizens or anyone in this country to make an application for an arrest warrant against somebody that has committed war crimes. It's very important. It was very important in the Pinochet case. It's kept Livni and Barak and others away from this country, and that's got to be a plus in itself. And so there's good reason for it. We campaign on all fronts. We campaign in every way we can. We demonstrate whenever we can, and it's making a difference. It's waking the whole world up. And you might be as frustrated as me once again spending a Saturday outside the Israeli embassy, but believe you me, it makes an enormous difference to people watching it on television screens in Gaza, in the West Bank. They say, yes, we know there's people out there backing us, supporting us, helping us, working with us in liberating ourselves from this occupation and this torpor in which they're forced to live. So stick at it, keep at it, we're winning. Okay?